Wonderful. Welcome, everyone. We're having a webinar tonight and wanted to just welcome everyone. We've been online for a few minutes having a good time between Lynn Ogg, Eric Hartman, and myself, who will be leading a webinar for you to learn a little bit more about accessibility using the iPhone and apps. Lynn is in outside of Dallas, Texas, and Eric is in New Orleans, Louisiana. And they are both very well versed in iPhones, the technology, the applications, and accessibility, and have used it. So this is going to be a real applicable, hands-on. And if you have any questions, we're going to take them towards the end. We're going to let these gentlemen get through their demonstrations and their talks, but it is going to be recorded. It is going to be on our website as well as on our YouTube channel. So please share it, access it as often as you want. And I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, guys. We're going to stay focused now on what the topic of the evening is going to be. Eric, you're going to start us off tonight talking just about the low vision accessibility. So
Sure.
how about when we met, the three of us met before, we had discussed maybe, again, starting really at the very beginning of how to access on an iPhone the accessibility features.
Okay, I appreciate that, and thank you guys for this opportunity. And just so people know that I have advanced CHM and basically down to 1 degree in one eye, but I couldn't do the work that I do without my iPhone, and the accessibility features are huge. Also, Lynn has been using his phone for many, many years with no vision. He, in fact, can turn his screen to complete black, listen to the voiceover commands that when he touches a black screen, and do all his work and answer his phone and all those things with
it freaks people out. It freaks people out because they think my phone's broken. Your phone's not working. I was like, yeah.
Well, in order to show this, Lynn, go ahead and give a quick intro, and I am going to relocate my camera so I can be able to show the phone to everyone.
Okay, so there's a lot of different options, and like Eric was saying, I've never used a phone like a sighted person would. I got a phone because my business need was changing, and I was going to have to do some more support, and I couldn't text with the traditional phone. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't read the text. And so I was talking to Eric, and he said, "Yeah, the iPhone's got a lot of adaptability stuff. There's a thing called voiceover." And so I got into it, and I learned to use a touchscreen with voiceover, and it has just made an incredible difference in my independence, my ability to continue to add value at work, and just do all kinds of things. So it's really pretty cool. But before you get to where I'm at, you're probably going to be more interested, some of y'all, in what Eric can show us with some of the adaptability that you can magnify and see things better. So Eric, I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but I'll toss it back to you.
Yep. Hold on. For some reason, we went through this in practice. There we go. All right. I'm going to turn my phone on.
Hey.
This is where Beth comes into play to tell Eric, no, move it to the right, move it to the left.
Is the phone upside down, or?
You know what? Here's what I need you to do is take it, lower it closer to your center. Lower the towards your, there we go. That's good. Perfect. That's good. And I know you're showing people, Eric, you're showing us exactly what you need to do. But can you also just describe actually?
I will. Also, are you getting any reflected light on this?
No, but you need to tilt it back a little bit. Not, it's a little bit too standing up. There you go. That's better. Yes, please. Okay. Now we see your voicemail. Yep.
Oh, okay. And normally people will see their phone. Well, I'll start with just the basics. One of the great things about the iPhone is the ability to do inverted colors. For CHMers, it is very, very difficult to see a lot of these colors on a white background. So I'm going to open up my emails, And this is what it looks like for me. But this, you would normally see it. I'm going to turn it
Can you
off.
tilt it back just a little bit, Eric? Because it's still there, and pull it down just a titch. Yep,
Okay.
there you go. That's best.
Okay, that's a problem for me. So in order to change that back, I'm going to triple tap. This is, I'll show y'all how to do all that. And it brings it back. So invert colors is very, very big. But one of the primary things you're going to do when you start off, you're going to go down to settings. And as you can see, my settings may look different from yours because I have large fonts. And I'm going to show you how to get to those large fonts in just a moment. Okay, we're at settings. And when you're looking for accessibility, it is right underneath general. So you click on accessibility. And of course, I did an update today. So now it's trying to, of course, it's going to say, I got to move along. Thank you. Now it's acting odd again. Okay. No action. I don't need an action. Oh, good grief. Hold on, folks. That's what happens when you do an update just before presentation.
And this is a good lesson in patience is a virtue when you're working with your technology, because sometimes it's going to make you say some things that your mother would not approve of.
That's true. And I do want to say one of the greatest helps that's out there also is that Apple has an 800 number app for Apple accessibility, where they have people that can literally join you on your phone and move a pointer or tell you where to touch on the screen in order to change the settings and to walk you through any accessibility problem. Apple accessibility, I think I gave a note to Beth. Apple accessibility has this 800 number available in the United States, England, Australia, and in Mandarin in China. So that is a great, great resource. So, okay. You will go down, and now I'm back to where I should be. I'm going to click on accessibility.
If it's more helpful, Eric, if you want to lay it flat, if that helps you, if you lay it flat right there, there you go. That's perfect, actually.
Okay. All right. So you can see there are a whole number of things here. One of the first ones is voiceover. And voiceover is something that many of us use as our reading speed goes down. Now, I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max, and there's this new, very cool button up here above the volume up, the volume down, volume up button. Above it, there used to be on many of your iPhones a little switch for mute. My phone now has a little button, and you can change that to any accessibility feature or anything that you might want, whether it's a camera or whatever. I have it set to turn on voiceover. So I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to turn that on. Oh,
you're turning it on.
Okay, hello.
This is like Lynn said, encouraging, because it will just give people more. All right.
Okay, this is I have no idea why it's not talking.
Do you have speech on? Because you can turn speech off even though voiceover is already on.
I don't think I touched speech. Voiceover, okay. Beyond voiceover, let's move on down. There are display and text size. And this is a real crucial one for everybody. I'm going to click that text size, and up at the top, you can turn on larger text. And I have that turned on. And as you look down at these features that are here, I have almost all of these turned on. all the way down, all of these, because they will add contrast. They increase the beauty or the visibility of the buttons. The one thing I don't have is um, it will do horizontal. I don't know what that is. That's about the only thing. All these others are features that I have turned on. Now, you can adjust some text size on a different page, but if you do that immediately, all apps should give you larger text. And that is very, very, very helpful. One of the other ones that I have up here is bold text. Bold text is great. That just also adds to the visibility that I need for all of the texts that are there. Now, I'm going to back out of that, and I'm still in accessibility. And there are a number of other things within accessibility. You can scroll down, there are quite a bit of different types of features for people with hearing problems. It can follow your eye, but then down near the bottom, there is a way that you can do shortcuts and accessibility shortcuts. There's one down here, and if I press accessibility shortcuts, for most of the iPhones, the volume, the on-off button on the right, that's a triple tap. And I have, right now, the only thing I have turned on is turning on the smart invert colors. Okay. And that's turning it off. I just triple tapped on the side, and 1, 2, 3, and it turns it back. Now, you can actually set up multiple other, you can choose multiple other things. See, I'll put it down here. You can see that I have smart invert is checked, but I could add something else, hover typing, all these different features, or zoom. But one of the things many of us will encounter is many of you may get a PDF. And even though you have smart invert on, when you click on the PDF is still white, and there's no way for us to, a white background, and there's no way that many of us can really read it. So what I have done is I've actually, besides that, the other feature, I'm sorry, I'm getting tied up, tongue tied here. There's besides smart invert, there's classic invert. And invert basically is like turning your screen into a negative. The idea of smart invert is if I go to Amazon, it will show all of the properties, all the products are in their own little picture, and I can see the color and what the item looks like. If I do in classic invert, it turns even the pictures to negative, but that can, as I say, be helpful. So I have this set up. There's also, besides the triple tap on the back, I'm going to back out of here. And there's also a feature where you can go in and double tap and triple tap the back. I'll show you here. If I do a double tap on the back, 1, 2, it's going to turn it into classic invert. And if I did that on a PDF, it would allow me to see it. So that's huge. I'm going to turn that off. There's also a triple tap on the back. If you don't have the 16 that has the button on the side, I also have a triple tap on the back of this.
VoiceOver on, settings.
There we go.
Guided access, off button.
But see, I can turn that off just by triple tapping. Or that was 2. And it's being persnickety.
VoiceOver off.
Okay, so you're able to do this. You can also do it by voice commands. And by voice commands, I can just hold the button, and we'll see how this works because I'm using 2 iPhone things here. I'm not sure, but I'll just say, turn on classic invert.
Classic invert colors is already turned on.
Turn off classic invert.
Okay, I turned classic invert colors off.
And now that basically also means at this point, my smart invert is off. So I'm going to turn that back on so I can see what I'm doing.
Okay, it's now on.
There you go. So those are very, very helpful ways of being able to use your the basics of this. I will also show you that there are multiple ways, and some people have multiple email groups. If I get out of this and I go into my emails, I've got my Cure CHM mailbox there. I've got a Gmail. I've got my Artman. All those are there, and you can select them, but it's much easier for me. Instead of going to other mailboxes, I have all those loaded in ahead of time, so I can just choose the emails that I need. Now, one of the interesting things for VoiceOver is if you are if you are listening with VoiceOver, and Lynn can talk a bit more about this. I'm going to turn VoiceOver on. I thought I was.
It sounded like it was already on, Eric. It's been talking.
Well, no, I was touching the screen.
Ah.
Okay. I wonder if I messed up that control button thing. Hold on just a second. Turn on VoiceOver.
Okay, I turned VoiceOver on.
Which is another thing you can do all the time. You can always ask Siri to turn it on. However, that can get annoying to people.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah, thank you.
Unread. Zoom. Neil has joined your personal meeting room.
Oh.
7 p.m. Hi, Curly.
Neil joined.
Research Foundation.
Okay.
Neil has joined your personal meeting.
All right. I will turn VoiceOver
Actions
off.
available.
Hey, let me just ask you real quick, Eric, and maybe this is something everybody already knows, but when we were spending time together recently, you were talking to Siri all the time, and she was doing all of these things for you,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty crazy. So do you want to just share a
and-
little bit
and
about how you did that?
Yeah, with Siri, I can just press a button, or even you can set it up and say, hey, Siri, but I can say, hey, Siri, do I have any new notifications?
You have new notifications from calendar, reminders.
Yeah, oh, thank you. But you can do that for new messages. If you hear you have a bing or whatever for your messages, it'll read she will or he will read it to you. If you go into, you can also choose your voices in, you can choose your voices in settings for VoiceOver. I'm gonna go back, I'm in settings now. I'm clicking on accessibility. And
Mine's an Aussie guy.
yeah, and you can choose the VoiceOver, and then you will go down to speech, click on speech, and you can choose, right now I have Evan enhanced. Apple offers quite a number of voices. There's several male and female in most languages, but there are, I would say maybe 4 or 5 actually have what is enhanced, which means
And
the voice is much better. It's more inflective. And
I'm gonna add as a kind of side note
yeah,
for people that don't have visual impairments at all, learning to use voiceover will allow you to use your phone in a much more safer manner than you ever did before. You can do things without having to look at your phone.
yeah,
So explore some of these options. If you're not affected, you're trying to be here for somebody that is affected. Explore some of these options for yourself, and you could potentially make your driving experience a little more safer. I don't know how safe everybody is with their phones in the car, but
yeah. In your car, for me walking, if I
mhm.
if I hear the ding of an email, I can say, "Hey Siri, do I have a new text message?" And she will say, "Oh, you have a new one from Kathy," and it says, "Move along, Eric, and stop talking." So
No, this is good. That's really
yeah,
good, Eric.
so those
So
can be very, very helpful. Also, you can then dictate. You can say things like, you can ask her, the S gal, to send a text message to Beth Foss,
Yeah.
and then they'll say, "Well, what would you like to say?" And you can say it, but always say, "Read it back to me," because there can be errors in dictation, and you don't necessarily want to
A
go in
lot of errors in dictation.
a lot of errors that we don't really need to get into. But there are some. I do want to show one other thing before we turn it over to Lynn, who's going to walk us through how he is doing it. And literally, when Lynn takes over, you're going to hear the phone talking to him, and he's doing everything I'm doing, but he's doing it without the limited vision that I have. Now, for any of you that know me, you know I love photography, and iPhone has been great because I have just clicked on photos. I am clicking on a picture that I may have taken. Let's make sure I'm getting a picture. Well, anyway, so as you can see, I have the picture and the black background all around it. Or actually, that's a video. Doesn't matter. That's one of my cool video shots. That's Beth sitting on the porch there. Anyway, I digress. But if I press the edit function here, guess what? It goes to the white background. It's the only feature in iOS 18 that for some reason loses the black background. And it makes it impossible for me to see the tools that are at the bottom in order to do editing. So all I do is I will say, turn on dark mode.
Okay, dark mode is now on.
What I did was I held my power button in, and you don't have to say her name. That basically, in this phone, it can call her, and I just give the command. And now I can do the edits that I might want to do. And then once I would hit save, or I'll hit cancel at this point. I go back. Now everything is back with this weird with a bright background, but it's a little grayed. But that's because dark mode is on. So I just say, turn off dark mode.
Okay, dark mode is now off.
And it puts it back to the normal thing, which allows me to use the normal smart invert. So iPhone itself, to access many of the features, they have the triple tap on the right side where you can choose one function and it comes up. If you choose more than one function with the triple tap on the power, it means, and it's funny, I'm looking up for the camera, but the camera's here. Anyway, if you choose more than one feature with the triple tap on the side, you will then get a menu, whether it's magnifier or classic invert, and then you have to click one of those in order to then get that function. But if you only use one, that turns it on and off. And right now, with the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro Max, you have 4 ways of having shortcuts. There's the double tap on the back. There's a triple tap on the back. It takes a little getting used to, on how to do it, but it works really well. And then, as I say, the feature that I've really enjoyed more is the side button that allows me to turn voiceover on without doing a triple or a double. It usually just goes right on.
And again, Eric, what's the name of the at the Apple, that what is the name of the department, or when we look it up?
It's
I don't have that number.
Apple Accessibility, and you can Google Apple Accessibility toll-free number. I have that loaded into my phone, and anytime I am perplexed with some sort of problem, and it happens more often than you could imagine, there's some little widget that I can't remember. I simply ask her to call Apple Accessibility, and she will dial it for me. And when you get Apple Accessibility, they will ask you for your Apple username, or you give them your name, then your email address, and then they will be able to say they know who you are, and then you can
the type of phone that you have,
and you tell them the type of phone, or iPad or whatever, and any feature of accessibility they can talk to you about. They will ask to share your screen. There'll be a pop-up, and you'll say, I accept it, and then there will be a second pop-up at the bottom, and you click that agree, and then they are seeing your screen as you see it. And if you have low vision, they will have large arrows pointing to where you need to go, or they will talk you on what to click. So let's go over to Lynn, and Lynn, you can talk more about how you can use VoiceOver without seeing. I just learned that if I'm going through my emails and I click on one and I realize it's a junk email, I just do a little slight tap or swipe underneath, and it says delete, and then I just double tap and it's deleted off. It's similar to how we would, if you weren't using VoiceOver, would swipe to put something into junk mail. So
yeah.
So Lynn is going to talk to us. Hey, so Lynn is going to talk to
Yeah.
us about voiceover and finger gestures, other than the finger gesture that we're all universally aware of. And then exactly, I like that much better. And then we're going to talk again. We have a little bit more time. We're going to talk about apps such as Be My Eyes, photography, Seeing AI, Uber, Bard,
yes.
Meta Glasses, and Era. So let's go.
All right, I will kind of reiterate that this does take some patience. I have never used an iPhone like a sighted person would, and as I understand it, you look at the phone, you see something, you touch it, and boom, there it is. And then you see something else, you touch that, boom, there it is. It's kind of cool. You slide this way, slide that way, and things move around, and you just touch them, and that's not the way VoiceOver works. So I got my phone, I turned on VoiceOver, and started trying to learn to use it, and I got a call. And of course, the bar says slide to accept. So I'm sliding and I'm sliding and I'm sliding, and I missed the call. Never could. You don't do that with VoiceOver. Instead of looking and seeing something, you put your finger on the screen, you move it around. As long as you don't pick it up, it's going to read whatever's on the screen. Now, I will say there's sometimes there is nothing readable on the screen, but if you keep working through it, when you get to your main screen, your home screen, you can go through all your apps. And Eric, do you want to turn on VoiceOver and kind of let them hear as you scroll through the apps on your home screen
Sure.
what that looks like?
And I do want to
like
turn on VoiceOver.
Okay, I turned voiceover on.
And
so now he'll drag his finger over his screen, and whatever it hovers over, it's going to read it.
actually, I may not have that feature turned on, buddy.
Ah, okay. Well, it is
Okay,
capable of
it's
doing
now
that.
off.
So it'll read to you what the things are that you're hovering over, and then instead of touching it to activate, because you're already touching the screen, you double tap what you want to see or what you want to do. So when I was trying to answer my phone and it said slide to accept, all I needed to do instead of trying to slide was double tap, and it activated that particular
Voiceover on.
button.
Settings. Accessibility. Back button.
Yeah, so if he's talking about going, it's at a back button here. If I double tap,
Alert. Accessibility settings would like to send you notifications.
oh,
Yeah, you get this stuff.
Don't allow. Button. Settings.
but
So,
as,
so Lynn, when you double tap, do you have to anywhere on the phone you can double tap, or does it have to be in a certain region
It
of the
has to
phone?
be relatively in the same spot. And that gets very frustrating because sometimes things are very close together and you have your finger on train home, which controls my HVAC stuff, my air conditioner, and instead I open settings because I shifted just a tiny bit. But that's just back to that patience thing, and you close settings and you go back and you find train home and you open that. I will also say, as a key thing that I think is very important if you want to use an iPhone very effectively,
Settings. Heading.
is learn to use a Bluetooth headphone. I have a
yes,
Jabra Talk 45, which is a nice. The thing I like about that version is uh, it's very resistant to be carrying around in my pocket. I can put it in my pocket with my car keys and carry it around, and it doesn't get damaged. I've even dropped one in the pool before and gotten it back out, and it dried out and worked. So they're pretty resilient. They got some cool features that the main thing about the Bluetooth is it puts it right in your ear. You're not trying to listen to something. And as Eric mentioned earlier, you don't want to disrupt everybody around you. You don't want them hearing what you're doing necessarily or being disturbed by it. So having a Bluetooth earpiece, I think, is really important and a good thing to do. And I actually have two, so there's one charging when the other one goes dead. So, but once you've learned that VoiceOver changes the way your phone works, it has a lot of different settings and configurations that you can do. But what it does, like I said, is it helps you drive through your phone and access the apps that you need. It Eric was talking about taking pictures earlier. It actually does stuff when you get your camera up and you turn your camera on and point it at somebody. It'll tell you there's three people in this picture and blah blah blah. So it'll give you a little insight into what's going on around you. It's a very helpful. Uh, so I'm trying to think more specifics about VoiceOver. It is very configurable. I turn mine up. The speech rate that it speaks at is really fast. A lot of people can't understand it, but you can configure that yourself as you get comfortable to change how it works. But it really opens the door for anything a sighted person could do on their iPhone. You have that capability right there in the palm of your hand. And like I said, the Bluetooth, in my opinion, is critical to making that easy for you to hear and understand and navigate. Uh, but as you go through it and do different things, uh, Eric mentioned that I turn a feature on called Screen Curtain. That's another one I turned on by accident and didn't know. All of a sudden, my screen's black and I couldn't see anything. I was like, "Whoa!" Because I could still see a little bit. So and I finally figured out, and I don't know how I figured out with triple touching with three fingers. You triple tap with three fingers, and it turns the screen curtain on and off. There are gobs and gobs of little double tap with two fingers, triple tap with two fingers, double tap with one finger. There's all kinds of little shortcuts that allow you to do things. And when you turn on VoiceOver, you can go through the VoiceOver uh, app. When you go into general and accessibility and go into VoiceOver, you can drill down into that a little further, and you can get into a little help guide that tells you what all those little double and triple taps are. So if you need to use your phone for some specific stuff, you can figure out how can I do that with VoiceOver on. And it's just amazing what it provides. So now I
So,
don't know anything about Androids. It'd be nice if we had somebody that had some experience with that that could help us discuss that. But
Lynn,
um,
are there any YouTube videos or anything that you're aware of that you could listen to again and again and again to give the teachers to help learn about
uh,
this?
Eric, I think, has come across more.
There are actually a number that are out there. The Hadley School for me, the Hadley School for the Blind was a good thing, but I think really almost any time that I am looking for, I have a problem, I go to YouTube and just type in the question. How do I turn on voiceover on an iPhone 16 Pro Max using the control button? And
And we'll kind of segue into additional apps. I'm
yeah,
actually wearing a pair of Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, and I don't have to YouTube it.
yeah,
I can say, "Hey Meta, blah 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 blah," and ask it to tell me how do I do this, and it goes beyond. I'd only really thought of it before is taking pictures of things and having it describe the pictures for me and using the glasses to help me see. But I can actually use the glasses now to Google things, so to speak. I can just ask it anything. I was the other day at work. I was like, "How do you go into Excel and select the entire row from a spreadsheet?" And it told me.
yeah.
So there are some really pretty cool tools that can plug into your iPhone and provide you some pretty amazing capabilities. So, is there more
VoiceOver
I
on.
need to talk about on
Accessibility.
voiceover or
Setting
show on
VoiceOver
voiceover?
on.
Or
There,
Eric,
and
you
I
want to
think that
drive them?
I was going to say, when you talk about the gestures, there are a lot of videos that can tell you the various gestures that are needed to use when you're reading voiceover. If you're using it to read a document, the coolest thing is that I would touch the first line of text and then swipe down with two fingers, and it will read the entire document to me.
Yeah,
And that's a huge thing. So you can literally walk away with your phone and headphones on and listen to a very long email or science report, or even if you just have the digital book, it'll just have Siri read the text to you.
yeah, that's one of the things I kind of forgot that my ability to read and respond to text messages is exponentially better. It reads it to me, and then I can dictate back what I want it to say, or I can always type it in. That's another interesting thing on the keyboards. When you would normally, a person would select the letters they want to go to, you hover over the letter, you rub your finger along the screen, and it gives you the letter. And then when you find the letter you want, you lift your finger, and it puts that in the text. And so you can go along, but that takes a bit. So I try to use dictate as much as I can, but sometimes what it hears, I don't know where it got that from. But anyway, but yeah, that's another great thing is to be able to text. Now, Facebook, I don't do Facebook. I haven't done Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account. How that would work, I'm sure it does some cool
You
stuff, but
can,
I don't have
yeah,
much experience
you
with it.
can use the dictate function, the microphone at the bottom to dictate. I was in an airport yesterday and giving a quick summary of the crazy travel time I had. And then I did a read back, and apparently it picked up TSA saying anyone that's missing a teddy bear with Big Bird pajamas on, you can come back and get your teddy bear. And it was in my text, and I went, wait, what? But you've got to be careful when you do that. Lynn, why don't we go real quick about some of the apps?
Yeah, one of my faves is Be My Eyes. It started off as an
Okay,
application where you
and I
could,
will clip on it.
yeah, you can call a volunteer is where it started with, and that gave a volunteer access to see through the video on your phone, and they could help you. Is this a can of Diet Coke or Dr. Pepper? Is this cayenne or is it oregano? Uh,
Right.
and they could walk you through that, or talk you through several other things, which There are other apps that exist, but they require a subscription,
Yeah.
and you have to pay money, but you get a professional that will actually be online with you the entire time and walk you through the grocery store to go do your shopping. So
Yes.
um that I'm kind of frugal. I'm frugal is a nice way to put it. So I use mostly free stuff. Uh, and that Be My Eyes is a great thing. And what they added just in the last year was an AI component where you can take a picture and they'll
All right.
describe the picture to you. And that is amazing. I use a smoker, and I can go out and look at my grill and take a picture with Be My Eyes, and it reads such amazing description of my thermometer on my barbecue grill. It's barbecue grill. It's got a red, yellow, blue areas, and the temperature ranges are blah 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 blah. It took it about 4 or 5 times for
Yeah.
me to indicate what is the temperature needle pointing to, and it finally learned, AI can learn, it learned, oh, you probably want to know the temperature too. So used to I had to chat and go on and add
Right.
more to ask it more questions, and you can ask it infinite number of questions and it'll keep responding looking at the picture that you made.
So Lynn, I just pulled up the Be My Eyes app, and you can see here where you can choose to be and when you sign up, you can be a volunteer or a user. And you can also, with Be My Eyes, you can create your own groups, which means you can use the Be My Eyes and just call a family member or friends. And you, instead of getting a stranger, you might be able to get someone more that you could trust to be a guide, because they see through your camera. But I'll go ahead. I'm going to take a picture and choose that function. Hold on just a second. Actually, what I'm going to do is that's in Be My Eyes, but I'm also the other one that I use, which is very similar, is Seeing AI.
Oh yeah, that's another good app.
And Seeing AI starts off and will read something to you, but it will also take a picture. I'm going to go to describe. And then I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to take a picture.
One face near processing.
What does Eric look like?
Exactly. That's frightening.
The image depicts a person wearing a blue polo shirt and a yellow cap. The shirt has a small device clipped onto the collar. The person is seated in a room with various objects and decorations. To the left of the person, there is a black fan positioned on a wooden table. Behind the person, there is a white curtain hanging from the ceiling, which is illuminated by a strip of LED lights. On the wall, there is a framed painting with a landscape scene. Below the painting, there is a wooden panel with a decorative item placed on it. A small shelf or table is visible, holding various items.
Picked up the fact that Eric's got a microphone clipped to his collar.
Yeah, I mean it's super, super helpful. I will say with Be My Eyes, which I was lucky enough to meet the founder of that when I was in Denmark. I actually sat down in a lunchroom with a bunch of visually impaired people, and he had a Be My Eyes baseball cap. And I said, does that have anything to do with the app? He said, yeah, I invented it. So what it is these volunteers can help you. I dropped something like I dropped an AirPod while walking during COVID on a bike path. And I said, how in the heck am I going to find this in the grass? And I called Be My Eyes, and I had my cane out in front of me. And they asked, okay, what do you need? I said, I've lost an AirPod. I know it's right here in this grass. I know the grass is cut kind of short, so we should be able to find it. She said, well, I don't know how to find it. I said, I'm going to move my cane back and forth, very slowly working my way out. And when you see something white near the tip of my cane, tell me. And within 2 minutes, we found my AirPod.
Wow.
Which is huge,
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. And the seeing AI can give you even more incredibly in-depth photo descriptions. You can go into it, and you could also, I'm going to cancel this out.
It has a color recognizer. It has
Color
a
recognizer, a money,
currency
yeah.
reader.
So those are very, very helpful. And another one, we don't want to go too long without mentioning Uber. Uber has become an app that helps so many of us. But I do want to tell everyone that it can be challenging while using Uber. And one of the things is, just if you're visually impaired or low vision, just finding the car or having them find you, and they don't know you're blind. Well, I came up with a hack, and I think Lynn has used it too.
Yep.
And because there's nothing in Uber that can tell the driver you're visually impaired. And I happened to be out front waiting for the Uber, and he rode up with the windows down on a nice, not hot as heck day in New Orleans. And it said, pick up Eric on the right. And I said, they read my first name. So I went in and edited my first name in my profile. And I said, Eric Hartman, sight impaired. And Lynn, I think you went in and changed yours to Lynn, I'm blind.
Yeah. Yeah. And it helps me in downtown Fort Worth when they come to pick me up. The drivers, inevitably, the apps put them on the other side of the street because it's faster to get to that location across the street. And they'll either jaywalk and come get me, and we'll jaywalk back across to their car, or they'll sometimes swing around and come back and pick me up at the curb. But they see Lynn, I am blind, and there's a guy standing over there with his phone out and a cane. Okay, that's probably my ride. And it's really strange because Uber, unfortunately, changes their user interface quite frequently. And so I go in. The last time I was trying to find the ability to call my driver, I never could find how to get to that option to call my driver. So having that in your name helps the driver connect with you, and has been very helpful for me.
And one of the other things, there's another app, it's called Aira, AIRA. Now, it is very much like Be My Eyes, except you are paying for a person who is trained to be a guide. And it is a subscription basis, but they allow 5 free minutes, I think, once a week. So you could actually use it for something quick. But Aira also has deals with different retail stores. If you're in the Northwest, there's Wegmans, grocery stores, but all around here, there are Walgreens. And if I go into a Walgreens and I pull up the Aira app, and the person will come on and they see through my camera, I'm holding my phone in front of me, and they say, how can I help you? Can you direct me to eye drops? And she said, all right, let me, and usually they have a map of the store, or I will hold the phone up and turn it so they can see, and they say, oh, I see the medications. And they will say, okay, walk a little to the left, and they'll literally guide me to where I want to be. And then I hold the phone up and they say, now what product are you looking for? And we slowly move along the shelves until she or he sees it. And then I reach out and grab it, and they confirm that's what you want. Now, the cool thing about Aira is it becomes, when it comes to Uber, it's hard to see the screen for any of us that still have some usable vision in sunlight. And I couldn't call Aira. I was one of their beta users, and I'm now going to go back and become a subscription person for them. You simply say to Aira, or you call up Aira, and they say, how can you help? Or what do you need? I said, can you order an Uber for me? And I've already preloaded my Uber password and username in, and they can do it from while screen sharing with me and type in the address that I tell them or where I want to go. And then they're seeing my Uber app on their screen, and they can tell me, up, the driver is going to be Fred. He's driving a Chevy pickup truck, club cab, and he's going to be there in 4 minutes. And they will literally guide me and say, he's about a block away. He'll be coming from the left. And they'll even look at the license number and say, yep, that's the license number. And that makes it very, very helpful for those who are visually impaired.
Hey, Lynn, guys, this is really very helpful. Lynn, do you mind taking the last 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll take some questions here at the end. Oh, we just lost Lynn. Rats, I bet his phone died. He was running low on
No,
energy. So I'm going to ask you. So let's talk a little bit. Although,
sure.
do you have Meta glasses? We do have a video that we've done, folks, that you can go back and watch specifically about the Meta glasses. But I thought since we had him here, and Bard, that was the other thing we had written down.
Yeah,
we wanted to talk
Bard.
about.
Yeah, Bard is an app. It's through the Library of Congress, and you can get free audiobooks through the Library of Congress. You have to go to your local library, and there's a form that your eye doctor will need to fill out for you to certify that you're blind. And then you can go along and use that app and look up books that you might want to read, and it's free. I do a lot of Audible, and Audible is, I think, $12.99 a month. But if you pay for it in a year, I think you pay for 11 months and get 12. So you get a little bit of a discount. But it also gives you the Audible Plus library, which is internally inside Audible, a whole library of books that you can listen to for free, besides the ones that you would use a credit for to download.
And it's a great plug for our book club. If you want to join our book club, it's a tremendous fun. All right, let's just go ahead and pose it open for any questions. Anyone has any thoughts, or if you have had any great experience with apps or technology, please go ahead and raise your hand, and I probably can unmute you and we can share with our group who's here tonight if you like. Otherwise, we'll call it a wrap.
Yeah, I will say that for things like if there is some sort of document or a web page that is problematic for me, I can take a screenshot of that, and then it's in my photos, and I can then open up Seeing AI and upload that photo, and it will look at the photo and then read all the text that's on it. That becomes incredibly helpful for me. And there are other ways that you can, it just makes sense. You can take pictures of menus, but for things like Meta, if you're wearing the Meta glasses, it has an AI function, and you can hold a menu up and say, hey, Meta, are there any sandwiches listed on this menu? And it'll look across all of it and say, yes, there's an Italian meatball sandwich, there's a roast beef sandwich, and there's 4 types of burgers. Give me more information about the burgers. And then she'll read the details of that. So that becomes very, very helpful when you're traveling by yourself, or you're with a big group and you don't necessarily want somebody reading you the menu. And you do that with an AirPod in, and it makes all the difference in the world. I also think for all of us that use voiceover, it's always good when you're on a Zoom call or things like that to use an AirPod or a headphone, because then your voiceover doesn't broadcast onto the Zoom call and interrupt somebody that might be speaking.
Yeah, we have some other calls where people join on their computers and you can hear their voiceover in the background or their JAWS.
Yeah.
stuff reading in the background.
And
And I'm sorry, I had some technical difficulties. All of a sudden, I just dropped. So I got back in, and
yeah,
my apologies.
I will
No,
say,
thank you.
I will say
Thanks for
also
coming
on
back.
that IRA app, almost all the major airports in the United States, if you use IRA in the airport, it's free. They know by your location where you are, and those airport, the people that run the airport pay for that, your time while you're using it there. So
Beth, when I got back in, I had a little trouble unmuting, but I was able to raise my hand, and then it said the host wants you to, will give you permission to unmute. So I guess you let me speak. So
I did.
if there's folks that are trying to ask questions but we can't hear them, you might raise your hand, and that would let Beth bring you in an audible mode.
I think the only one we have right now is you, and I need to have you put your hand down. I'll figure that one out. But if there's anyone else,
I'll put my hand down.
You're good. You're good. Lower hand. I just put, all right. Well, this has been really great, guys. Again, gonna another minute if anybody has questions. Oh, you put your hand back up, Lynn. Stop putting your hand up.
Oh, it said lower. Hold on.
That's
Okay.
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 Oh,
It's gone.
it's silly. Just a little banter here, guys.
I did want to mention real quick, I'm sorry. One of the things that becomes really essential, and it takes a little time, is you can move your the tiles that name all the apps on your phone and group them. What I like to do is I have grouped almost, because I've got my camera and things like that that I use all the time, but Be My Eyes is there, Seeing AI, WhatsApp, they're all, if you group the things that you're going to use the most on your home page, it makes getting your work done that much quicker, that you're not swiping through 2 or 3 pages of apps. It's always good to be able to move your apps. And I have found that you may see that on my phone, on my home page, I have a spare spot here. And anytime I go to a conference and they have an app, I will load it, and wherever it drops, I will move it to this spot on the first page. So it's always there. It just makes it easier.
That's another good tip. All right. Well, gentlemen, first of all, thank you very, very, very much, Eric and Lynn, for sharing. And again, folks, watch this a couple more times, access that Apple accessibility phone number. I think it's just practicing a whole lot. And if you're really struggling, or if you really want some extra help, I know that both Lynn and Eric would be fine reaching out. So if you do need
the CRF conference, there's a conference directory, so to speak, that people are sharing their contact information. I've put my information in there. Feel free to reach out. Be happy to help.
And I'm Eric Hartman at curechm.org. And
awesome. Wonderful. Thanks,
and
everybody.
If you need to talk on the phone, talk to me. You can also call. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I like phone calls. I'm an old school phone call guy.
All right, guys.
Best. All right. Have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending. And we'll see everyone later. Thank you so much for being a part of the Choroideremia Research Foundation.
Thank you.
Thanks.